2022 has been a very difficult year for volatility in financial markets, and I'm sure advisors are all considering where they are, how they're positioned, and how things are going for them. I think it's important for us to understand in this really difficult time for the Ukraine, it's hard to talk about financial markets. Nonetheless, we have to decide where we are and where TAM is at the moment and what we're doing. Importantly, we're a conservative manager. So what we do is look to be in the upper second quartile in the positive times, but we always want to be in the top decile if possible in the negative times. We look to protect client capital, and I think we're achieving that. And I think if anybody wants to look at Financial Express or has access to that type of data, you'll be able to verify that for yourselves. But of course, James Penny, our CIO, will be talking about such matters anyway. One of the things most people think about TAM is their innovation in some of the things that we're doing and where we're going. We were one of the early adopters of ethical and ESG based investment some 8 or 9 years ago. We've also been involved in the Sharia market for 6 or 7 years with long-standing track records. And also our You Give, We Give charitable giving innovation has now achieved almost 200,000 in charitable donations. It's really working quite well. But we're not stopping there. We're now on to our new sustainability mission, where we're going carbon neutral plus with immediate effect. But more, for clients, we're giving them the option to be carbon neutral. We're giving them the option to partake in a sustainability mission with TAM. And that will all be available to you through the TAM offering. So we're keeping up with our innovation. It's not going to stop here.
So 2022 for TAM, we've seen a lot of volatility in the markets. We've seen a lot of volatility across equity markets. We've seen volatility in fixed income. Mainly investors are getting very concerned around growth stocks, around the NASDAQ. People are starting to worry that rising interest rates, especially in the US, are going to affect how people invest into growth. And growth investing over the last 10 years has been extremely positive, and we're starting to see that narrative turning around and people starting to take profits on that investment. What we're starting to see is more people moving towards value investing, more people moving towards owning companies that are generating real earnings in today's market, which is extremely important because that's the sort of company that you want to own when we're moving towards a recessionary environment. On the fixed income side, rising interest rates are negative for fixed income investors and negative for fixed income investing. And you've definitely been seeing that play out as interest rates have been rising across the world. People have been selling fixed income, they've been selling bonds. What we're faced with is a slight dynamic where equities are, for the most part, selling off, but also fixed income, for the most part, is selling off. So model portfolios with a 50-50 balance are being adversely affected because both elements of that portfolio are starting to come down together. Now that's not all bad news, because in every market environment there are places where you can make positive returns. TAM is invested into volatility funds, which are essentially funds that focus on rising in value when volatility rises in value. Precious metals has also been an extremely good place to be this year, albeit quite volatile. When you have fears around stagflation and a recession, people tend to flock towards precious metals as a haven currency. Commodities have obviously been the poster child for 2022 in terms of investment gains, and we've seen some extremely strong gains across the commodity market from legacy effects from COVID, from supply chain issues, but also the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. All of these factors have produced higher commodity prices. So diversification within the portfolios has been critical in 2022. TAM started to position itself for this market at the end of 2021. We started to move some of our investments away from the growthier part of the market into more high quality value areas. We started to increase some of our precious metals exposure. We started to increase some of our volatility exposure. Now that was all based on the predication that this year was going to be a more volatile year. The main thing when you come to the long term for investing is to ensure that you're not only invested for the long term, but you keep those investments in the portfolio and you do what you can to offset them in the short term should any volatility arise. And what we've been able to do over the short term is increase some of those more successful trades that are played into the macro problems that we're seeing at the moment in terms of rising interest rates and conflict in Europe. And they've been able to mitigate some of the risks from our longer term investments, such as European financials, more value orientated companies, as well as some of our Chinese investments. Diversification and active management are the two critical factors in 2022.